Hey everyone, welcome to the 7 Nameless Comics podcast. So, as you guys would have probably seen from the thumbnail and the title of this video, we are going to be talking about the new Superman movie directed by James Gunn, starring David Conswett. And we all have shared our own individual detailed reviews of the movie, and I'll add the link of our channels in the description below so that you can see our reviews and also you can follow our pages. But it's been about a week or so since the movie has come out, so we thought we could discuss now a bit more freely to talk about the spoilers and also talk about what about this film we liked, we didn't like, and what was our experience watching this film. And here's the podcast. What did you guys think about the story and the direction of the Superman movie?
I'll keep it short. I'll say this was Superman and Friends, not a Superman movie. And as for direction goes, it's James Gunn. That's self-explanatory. We see the James Gunn touch throughout the entire movie. It's colorful. It's a decent movie. The plot is simple, linear, uh, pretty fast-paced. It's about Superman fighting with Lex with the help of his friends.
I just say that, I was very excited about this movie any which way. When I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, this is going to be great. So I went with a lot of expectations. However, on a story point of view, in linear, it was something that we had already seen in a lot of movies. The good guy is portrayed as the bad guy because of, the villain trying to
And
change the mind of the people, create that whole not good, he has evil intentions. ये हमने बहुत देखा हुआ है. So for me, the story was something which I had seen, and that is one of the biggest gripe that I have with the movie. I will talk about it. I thought it was fairly good, but from a story point of view, बहुत simple, बहुत linear था. There were no character graphs happening there, and नया नहीं था.
wow moment X factors. मतलब वो impact का कमी था. The feel that a very impactful movie lives with you, which lingers with your soul for a really long time.
Yeah, I mean, fast-paced tha, I love that part. It starts right in the middle. It doesn't start from the beginning, which was a good thing. And the story moves very quickly. I mean, so you don't get bored at all. So that's a positive. However, from a newness point of view or from something different point of view, because, this is going to be James Gunn verse, that was lacking.
See, I was glad that the plot is relatively simple, even though it was messy and all, because I just wanted a simple pace, something that you can turn off your mind, go and see. In that way, this movie delivered on that front. There's a lot of places which could have made the movie impactful, and there is no memorable moment from this whole film, barring a few comedic moments, but not anything impactful, which is something you would expect from the first movie from a very big universe that is to start after this. So that was sorely lacking in this film.
For me, as I said, I saw the trailer and I loved the trailer compared to the Fantastic Four trailer. I loved it, and most of the times when you see the trailer, you get an idea कि कैसा होगा, how it's going to be. And when I saw the movie, I'm not saying it was a bad movie, um, but because I have been like a fan, I've read so much of Superman stories, and this is a new person coming to help the DC verse from my side. And unfortunately, from a plot story point of view, that didn't meet the expectations.
I like David Conswett, and my for me the standout has to be Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. Because first of all, I was still pressing the fact this is the same guy who has done Beast and X Men. His performance is the best performance in the film, according to me. David Conswitz is good as Superman because I know a few people want Superman to be in a different way. But if you ask me, the most perfect Superman character portrayed was from the Superman and Lois series. I forget that actor's name. But hopeful effect, I think the Superman and Lois actor did an amazing and perfect job of what Superman is supposed to be. Lois Lane was good, but she was not your average damsel in distress, but she, I felt, could have had a bit more when it comes to in the investigative part.
From a acting point of view, I really liked David Corenswet. Fairly good job. And for me, Christopher Reeve and Henry Cavill both are like top-notch Superman. Christopher Reeve because of his clean-cut looks and that he played Superman to the core. He had that intensity persona, like what you mentioned. He seemed like the Superman of Gotham City. But that kind of worked for me. Lois Lane character is not the damsel in distress which we are so used to seeing. Not even once does he go and save her. In fact, she saves him, which was like refreshing to watch. USK for me, the best actor was definitely the guy who played Lex Luthor. I think Nicholas Holt is his name, and he does a brilliant job here. He's so menacing. He's so amazing. Like he carries on scenes on his own. He is the badass villain that is right up there, and Superman needs to up his game to face him because that was great, brilliant performance. But I would say that from a supporting cast point of view, which is the which, Guardian gang, which is there. Justice Gang, Nathan Fillion was good who plays Green Lantern. He created that, doofus kind of, you hate him as well as he's got those corny lines to Mr. Terrific as well as the Hawk Girl were quite decent as well. But and lastly, I think somebody we forgot to mention was Crypto. Like he's so naughty, he's so fun. I would say overall from a cast point of view, I think they did a good job overall. I didn't feel like they were misplaced anywhere.
My Superman top three would still be Christopher Reeves, Brandon Routh, and Henry Cavill. I will not put David Corenswet right up. I was smitten by the acting prowess of Nicholas Hoult as Lex here. Very comic book accurate portrayal. He also went for the audition for Superman, and he lost the role to David. So there might have already been a certain, amount of jealousy inside of him, which reflects. The only acting I felt was very subpar was the actors who were playing Mark Kent and Pa Kent.
Oh yeah,
There was absolutely no connection and to and fro between, Clark and Pa Kent. Like it
true.
did not click at all. I did not feel that thing which James Gunn
Yeah,
was trying to put. Here it was very flat, it was very bland, and it was almost hurting my eyes when I was saying, "Ki, could not they have gotten a better actor or maybe some better lines?" So very below average. The rest, David Corenswet, he tried his best given he was yelling and stuff, but that's what the plot had demanded. It's not like his acting was bad or something. So
If at the ending, like we saw that how he replaced that gallery with his Earth or
yeah,
his foster parents, it should have been an impactful moment. But this feels like they just had to force it in and write it in because it's the typical story, and that's how it just felt forced. It didn't feel natural. Speaking of faults, we have our own censor board who had thought that there was some fault, and they decided to take their own calls and actions with this film, which has been called out and it's gained attention all over the world. Everyone is talking about it.
shaming it, and rightfully so, because Indian movies have been showing this intimate scenes. Now, if they're showing a guy slapping his girlfriend, that's not gonna get censored, but kissing, love is taboo. No? So I felt funny because the first kiss, which was in the first half of the movie, even that was sensual enough. They could have cut that as well. Superman and Lois is kissing after a huge fight, not amongst themselves, but against Luthor, and they won. Righteousness is won. Kindness is the new punk. What they're having a very touchy moment. They're kissing, and slowly Superman is lifting her in his arms into the air, and the camera is panning 360 all around them. It's such a nice shot. It was necessary. It was for the plot. It was not forced. It was not overtly intimate that our children are not already exposed to.
Yeah.
So this is unnecessary.
I absolutely agree. I mean, why would you cut a scene about kissing? It's not wrong. So I just think it was a bad move to make that cut. Absolutely unrequired. And as you said, Dr. Manish, it was a cinematic and a creative shot. The music and everything like goes into a crescendo. They are rising up in the air because that's like kind of a hope, victory. A lot of things get signified with it. So it takes away the movie going experience from us.
No, this was purely retarded, for lack of better words.
Talking about the post-credit scenes, there's two post-credit scenes. Part one with Supergirl, and the announcement also has been made now about Supergirl. Then we saw just another cute one of where him and the Superman and Crypto are watching Earth from the moon, which was nice. And Mr. Terrific, where they just stare at the crack and have banter that felt more like behind the scenes that was just shot on the camera and they left it into the picture. Just because this is the first movie in a universe, it should have been impactful enough that it leads to something big, like maybe some dark side introduction, something. Some of the other Justice League members would have been enough to give the audience the hype to look forward for something.
I don't know why James Gunn said what he said, but if your viewers, they should not be getting some floppy, pointless banter between two characters. They are sitting through the entire thing. Again, a foolish move from James Gunn's part. Just imagine there are no this kind of post-credit scene, just one scene where Batman and he's talking to Clark or Superman and saying, "Hi, I am at Metropolis," or "Yeah, come over at Gotham. There is a crisis at hand." Just one Batman voice delivery.
See, Marvel started this whole thing of post credit scene. I was not even sure that DC would have it or not. So right, so people are sitting with expectation, just like how a Marvel movie will have a end credit scene, which is funny, impactful. It leads to some other. Actually, I would not rate the Supergirl while I seen as post credit because that comes right before the credits. So there you anyways get the announcement that the next movie is going to be Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Movie is based on this book by the same name. So if you have read the book, it's quite a decent book, but it's not one of the greatest Supergirl stories.
Is a conspiracy theory who is trying to give it some more context is the fact that if you remember the scene, it's how the city has joined and how Superman is saying, there is a little imbalance. Mr. Terrific says, "What do you want me to do? You want me to tear it apart and join it all over again?" Like he gets very frustrated, he kicks a rock and he just, leaves with disgust. And Superman is like, I should not have been this rude to him. Maybe James Gunn is trying to tell the audience, the DC universe was already in ruins. I am trying to rebuild it. It might not be perfect, but it is what you get.
Actually, what you guys said earlier, right? They should have had something about the movie, upcoming movie. So I've heard that the character Clayface, I think a movie or a show, and that's already been finalized. So maybe something about that could have been one of the end credit scenes. They could have very easily shown one of their upcoming features or movies or shows.
Take a back shot and let Superman come and say, "Yeah, you called me. Is there something like a little glimpse, a little something exciting is what it let." And do not want to show Batman. They could have shown Superman only calling and saying, "Ki, man, I need you at Metropolis. There is an urgency at hand. Can you come?" And we can just hear the voice of Batman over telephone, and the movie ends there. Just imagine this happening. The
Absolute
exact,
cinema.
yeah, much better, much better.
Now we come to our favorite parts where we talk about our gripes, which is what we have talked about so far. But we have talked about our gripes only, but I think my biggest gripe is that there is a zero impactful moment. The scene from Man of Steel where Superman first puts on his suit and flies, and there is Hans Zimmer's background score that is there because that moment is just so powerful and invigorating. There's a lot of moments where, like she said, Lex Luthor killed someone, okay, and it was somewhat impactful, but not completely saddening because the movie was very fast moving. The pace was fast, so he kept on going and going. There was no motivational moment, and even like we saw that Crypto was the one who took the revenge finally. There was not one anger moment that we saw where he could have taken revenge but decided not to. That itself would have been impactful to show that how Superman always thinks about how he has to conduct himself and be a different symbol. But that wasn't there anywhere. So in any superhero movie, you need to have an impactful movie because that is when you can relate with the superhero. So if that's not there, then it's just another any random movie.
No, no, you're absolutely correct because if you remember the scene where Superman barged into Lex's office and was inquiring about his dog, and Lex was sipping his cup of coffee, and he uttered something, whispered something, which was very evident that he has a dog, and he is letting Superman know, and he's telling it on his face, and very subtly telling him you cannot do anything about it. And then Superman yells at the camera, right? He looks like a crybaby, for lack of better words. He has been yelling throughout. He has been yelling during the interviews with his own girlfriend. So he has been shouting and yelling throughout. And instead of all that, just imagine if after hearing what Lex has said, because Superman has super hearing, right? Instead of asking him the question again, what did you say? Arey, you have super hearing, bro. You have already heard what he said. He wanted you to hear it. And then instead of this pathetic scene, if they would have shown the Superman, like his eyes are glowing, he's about to blast Lex's head off, and like his veins are popping, he's like clenching his fist, and then he decides to cool down and he just flies off without wasting another word on that bald guy. 10 times more cinematic, 10 times more impactful than yelling at the camera and say, "Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he said? Look, what was that?" So yeah, this I have a bunch of gripes about this movie. Mayan Parkent, as I said, then Superman's own parents giving them that villainous, uh, new POV. That was very weird. I don't know how that will click in the future films when it will be explained a little more. But yeah, this movie fell short in a lot of aspects. So I have a bunch of grievances about the movie. Hawk Girl screeching, like Mr. Terrific was terrific, but Hawk Girl, when did she start screeching? That sound was so annoying. Like already David shouting was not enough, as if that there has to be some screeching from Hawk Girl now. So yeah, things could have been much better if it comes to cinematic experience. This was very juvenile, be it the plot or the execution.
So my biggest grievances is something which I anyways said in the beginning of our podcast. The story was very linear. The story was very flat. I didn't get to see something new, and honestly, it would have still worked out, more for me if they had shown some kind of a character graph in where Superman becomes a little more intense. It just needed him to kind of the circumstances around him needed him to change and become a little more stronger, rather than be the same goody two shoes that he's always been portrayed. So for me, that was the biggest thing that I would say I would want to have been different.
Right.
This movie could have been so much more than it is. That's the biggest difference. Like endless potential,
Yeah.
and it has turned out to be a wasted potential. Like as Chandan was saying, if we compare the flight scenes, like, I know comparison is the killer of joy, but let's compare a little. Compare the flight scenes of Henry Cavill Superman to what we got here. The flight scenes had no impact on a viewer. It's a simple, flying scene. But what Zack Snyder had done with Henry Cavill was beyond epic. Now, if we compare, na, I was not that big of a Zack Snyder before. After watching this, now I am. I'm not a Snyder bot. I'm not a Gun turd. But I have, now, I have rewatched, Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman after watching this Superman. Like now, I see the difference. How much difference two directors can make, two different, very different portrayals of Superman. And there are some things that I absolutely love about that Superman, and some things I love about this one. There are some things I hate about that Superman, and some things I hate about this one. And both are so polarizing and so different. I guess that's what makes this movie watching thing so interesting, because you get to analyze it. As a
Yeah.
comic book reader, you get to analyze it very
Yeah.
critically. And yeah, so things could have been much better. The Superman could have been more super, and like someone has very rightfully said, the previous one was more super and less man, and this one was less super and more human. So yeah, it is
True.
what it is.
True.
Maybe the
Yeah.
character graph Pranay Bhai is expecting will be seen in later movies where he gets a little more serious.
I think
More,
like this guy, Lex Luthor deserved a guy who the hero was should have been little more up there. He somehow lacked that. Even the part that he kept on getting trashed throughout the movie. I mean, kitna maar khayega? Throughout the movie, he was getting his ass whooped. That's something which you don't expect of Superman. So that was also something which kind of, as a Superman fan, I
Yeah.
felt, अरे यार जो भी आ रहा है उसको मार के जा रहा है.
in the
So,
beginning, they said Superman had already 3 years of
Yeah.
experience. I don't know where that experience went in this movie.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
that's what
like
happens if
those
you have to
bots were flying around, right? In the first fight with that hammer of whatever, those bots were there. He could
survive.
see it with if he uses that heat vision laser thing, he could have blown it. Even in the climax scene, instead of him blowing it up, he calls Crypto, and poor Crypto is like एक एक करके सब बेचारे bots को मार रहा है, फिर उनका feed चला जाता है, and then he is able to beat the bad guys. I mean, इतना ही simple था भाई, तो शुरुआत में ही कर लिया होता. So, anyways, that I mean, if you, the more you think, possibly the more flaws we may get. However, overall, I would still say that for me, it wasn't a bad experience. I enjoyed watching it because it was very entertaining. And
Mhm.
if the moment we analyze it and look at it from a creative or a comic, hardcore comic book fan, तो हमको बहुत सारे issues मिलेंगे. Possibly, we also have to see it. It's made for, as you said, Dr. Manish, for children, for kids, for teenagers who have maybe not seen a lot of Superman. So they know about Superman,
They
but
will
they've not read or
absolutely
they've
love
not
it.
seen. So उनके
Especially,
लिए शायद ये बहुत सही था.
yeah, especially if it's their first Superman, they're going to love it. Especially the children, because they're not going to overanalyze it like we do.
Yeah.
They are in that peaceful,
Yeah.
blissful ignorance stage. Yeah, okay, this is the symbol of hope. All right.
Like we've spoken so much about these different aspects. If you guys had to give like a overall rating, what would you
I
guys
I
give
have
for the
given it a
movie?
6 out of 10 because it was above average, but a very forgettable, decent one-time watch movie only. It was nothing that I'll recommend very aggressively to any of my friends to watch. Like, like, watch this Superman. This is amazing. They have done so. No, this is a decent Superman movie. If you have some free time at hand, you can give it a watch.
So I'll just give it trivia. The movie, I think the production budget was some $225 million, and Snyder's Superman also was of the same budget. Okay, and in the last 1 week, May it's already got 250 million worldwide. So movie as a Superman movie for young fans is going to do well. I'm sure it will easily reach 500 million, recover the money. It's fast paced, it's entertaining, which is what possibly people are going to the movie halls to have a good time, with family, with kids, enjoy Superman flying around, doing feats of wonder and all that stuff. So it ticks all those boxes. And hence, for me, because it does those things, which is also very difficult in a lot of movies, like some of the movies which I had seen recently from Marvel as well as DC, they were not even there. So I would easily give this a 6.5. And I would say कि
Correct.
yes, आप जाओ movie hall में और देखो, watch the movie on a big screen, you will like it.
I mean, for me, it varies. It's either a 6.5 or a 7, depending on where I am. I say 7 because in the theater, like I said, I just had fun watching it where it was just a simple movie. You go, don't have too high expectations, don't try to overanalyze everything. 6.5 because there is no repeat value in this, unfortunately, for me. I'm never going to actively look for it and sit and see it again, which is a kind of a letdown. But yeah, I mean, compared to all the other movies that's been coming out recently, especially in the Indian market, nothing really substantial or good is there. You can go with your family, spend some more time, have some fun, and come out. So it will be that an enjoying weekend experience that you can have. So that way, I can say you can view it as a 7, just a one time good watch.
Right, right. I guess we all are almost having the same outlook and verdict towards this movie. That's great. I thought we'll have very opposing, polarizing, reviews.
If
Maybe
we
for
could someone,
Fantastic Four.
yeah,